Gogolak, who has already kicked a 35-yard field goal, will now attempt one from the 20. Up. And it's good. Right through the upright feet, Gogolak. In NFL Monday Night Football, the New York Giants versus the Dallas Cowboys continues from the Cotton Bowl. With the score, New York 6, Dallas 6.
Well, hello. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to check out this video. And welcome to the Gridiron. And before I get started, I just want to say thank you so much, everyone out there who's been watching my videos. Thank you. If you can maybe give this video a thumbs up, possibly leave a comment below, and maybe even share this video, it would mean so much to me. But at least anyway, just thank you so much for just taking time out of your day to check out this video. Thank you. Well, I saw a stat, and every team since 2017 has had a winning record at one point or another during one of those seasons. At least once. Every team in the NFL, except for one. 31 out of 32 teams since 2017. Somewhere along the line, one of those last five seasons, 2017, 18, 19, 20, 21, 31 out of those 32 teams, somewhere along the line, have had a winning record, even if it was just 1-0. Every team but the New York Football Giants. We can't even win an opening day game. Can't even go 1-0. Absolutely unbelievable. Yeah, the Giants, they're all alone at the top on this one, which is not a good stat to be number one at, that's for sure. Even the Jets, as pathetic as they've been lately, they were 1-0. They won the first game of the year in 2018. They beat the Lions 48-17. In 2017, there was a point in the season they were 3-2. Right? The Lions, even the Lions. Some of these crappy teams. The Giants are crappy too. But the Jets always seem to be stinking. 2 times they've had winning records. Even the Lions, my goodness, 2 times they've had winning records. They were 9-7 in 2017. They actually had a winning record at the end of the year. Holy cow! And in 2019, they were actually 2-1 at one point. And then you got the Jaguars, as horrible, unbelievably horrible as they've been the past few seasons. They 2020, they started. I remember. They started the season off 1-0 in 2020. Then they lost the next 15. I thought, because I got the DirecTV, the Sunday ticket, and so it was a 1 o'clock game. I believe it was the Colts they beat. And, it's the first game of the season, so there's 8 games on the screen. I'm watching them all. And, one of them was the Jaguars. I never paid particularly much attention to them unless they're paying like the Giants or something. But I just happen to know, they wind up winning. You catch some plays from the game here or there, but I noticed they actually won. I'm like, wow, all right, Jaguars might be, I'm not saying for real this year, not going to be a Super Bowl threat or nothing, but all right, maybe they might win some games, maybe somewhere close to maybe 500, somewhere around there, maybe 7-9, 6-10. Nope, they won the first game and then they lost the next 15. Wow. But then 2018 they were 3-1 at one point, and then let's not forget 2017 they went to the AFC Championship game. They were 10-6, and then of course they were 20-10. They were beating the Patriots in New England, AFC Championship game. I think it was like 10 minutes to go, and they couldn't stop Brady, and they couldn't score a point after that. So they fell 10 minutes short of going to the Super Bowl. But not the Giants. Giants 2017 started 0-5. 2018 we started 1-7. We were 2-2 in 2019. We won our 4th game to become 2-2. So we were 2-2. Didn't have a winning record though, but we were 2-2. Then we lost our last 9 games, our next 9 games, and we were 2-2. And before we can blink our eyes, we were 2-11. So we didn't have a winning season, a winning record at any point in time during that season. And then in 2020 we started 0-5. We were actually pretty much the same as we were in 2017. We just started the season off 0-5. In 2021, of course, we started 1-5. We lost the first 3. Then we wound up, we got our first win of the season against the Saints, and things might turn around a little bit like that. But that wasn't happening. So just absolutely unbelievable. 5 straight years without a winning record at any point in the season. We came to start the season with a win. Unbelievable. Now this is the worst streak in Giants history. Absolute worst streak the Giants have ever had in history. I was going back, because you go back, obviously back to 1925, even in the early days, they might have had like 2 or 3 years maybe where they had losing records, but then they would have a winning record the next year, next couple of years. They had a lot of good teams back then in the 20s, the 30s, the 40s, the 50s, even the early 60s. This is by far the worst streak that they've had, where they, without having a winning record anywhere at time during the season. Now, even the darkest of the dark years for the Giants, 1964 to 1980, those 17 seasons where they didn't make the playoffs, from 64 to 80. 63, they went to the championship game. They lost to the Chicago Bears 14-10 at Wrigley Field. 1981, Lawrence Taylor's rookie season, they beat the Eagles and went into the vet, beat the Eagles 27-21. Then the next week they went and they played the 49ers, who would be the eventual Super Bowl champions, and they lost 38-24. I believe that one in San Francisco there. But from 1964 to 1980, there was no playoffs, and they only had 2 winning seasons. 1970 and 1972. Those are the only 2 winning seasons that they had during those 17 seasons. 1970, they were 9-5. 1972, they were 8-6. But they still, out of those 17 seasons, they only had 2 seasons out of those 17 where they wound up at the end of the season with a winning record. But even out of those 17 seasons where they never went to the playoffs, 13 out of those 17 seasons, they had a winning record somewhere along the line during those years. 1965, they finished the season 7-7, but toward the end of the season, they had a winning record multiple times during that season. But the latest in the season, was game 13. They were 7-6. They lost the last game of the season, but they wound up 7-7. But they were actually 7-6 at one point. Check this out. 1966, the worst season in Giants history. They were 1-12-1. They actually started the season off with a tie. It's not a winning record, but it wasn't a losing record either. They started the season off 0-1, right? So they didn't have a losing record. Right? It wasn't winning either, but then in the next 13 games, they wound up going 1-12. 1967, they finished the season 7-7. Well, actually, one point in the season, they were, during 11 games after, they were 6-5. 1968, they finished the season 7-7. Well, at one point in the season, they were 7-3. They lost the last 4 games of the season, but they were 7-3. 1969, they finished the season 6-8. Well, they started 3-1. 1970, they finished the season 9-5. They were 1 game out of the playoffs. They lost to the Rams last game of the season at home in Yankee Stadium, 31-3. If they won that game, they would have won the division. They would have won to the playoffs, but they choked big time. 1971, they finished the season 4-10. They actually started off 2-1. They beat Green Bay, they lost to the Redskins, and they beat the Cardinals. They were 2-1. Finished 4-10. Ugh. 1972, they finished the season 8-6. There were a couple games out of 2 games, I believe, out of the playoffs there. They had a very tough schedule that year. Very tough schedule. 1973, they were 2-11-1. They actually started the season off 1-0-1. Then the last 12 games of the season, they wound up going 1-11. But They actually were 1-0-1 at one point in time during that season. 1979, they finished the season 5-9. Well, they started off 1-0. 1977, it won, same thing. Started at the end of the season 5-9. They started off 1-0. 1978, they finished the season 6-10. They actually were 5-3 halfway through the season. And then they fell apart. They were 1-7 the last 8 games. And in 1980, they were 4-12. They actually started the season off 1-0. Now they were 4-12, but which is very important because if they had a better record than that, they may not have gotten Lawrence Taylor. So, but I mean, there was plenty of times there where they actually wound up with had winning records during their 17 seasons, 5 years in a row. Now, at one point in time. Now, is it coaching? Is it injuries? Is it both? Now let's not forget in 2016, the last season that the Giants had a winning record. Any point in time. I mean, they finished 11-5, right? But things were kind of going bad. Remember the year before that, the Giants were, had been to the playoffs since 2012, 13, 14, 15, right? So what do? They let Tom Coughlin go. So now Jerry Reese is kind of panicking. He hasn't been to the, these are his Giants. His drafts were not that good. I mean, he might have maybe hit on a guy here or there or so, but I mean, for the quality of them all, he just was not restocking the shelves, shall we say. He didn't have quality depth. So he started panicking. He had to go out and he spent big time. He brought in 2016. He brought in Snacks Harrison, Olivier Vernon. He brought in the Jackrabbit, Janoris Jenkins. Right? We wound up going 11-5, and we made the playoffs, but we got blown out to the Packers 38-13. Now, we had Ben McAdoo in there, right, and everything was going pretty well. In 2016. Now, of course, when everything's going well, everything's just hunky dory. When you're 11-5, everything is phenomenal. But which is a real, true, good coach is when things start going sour. Things start, taking a dive. Can you, redirect the ship, to get it going, in the right path once again. Things start going bad. Can you correct things so you start winning football games? And if you're not a good coach, once things start going bad, they just keep getting even worse. And that's what wound up happening in 2017. And 4 games left in the season, they wound up letting him go and Jerry Reese. They fired everybody. So we had Ben McAdoo. So, as far as with coaching, you had, a very inexperienced, decent offensive coordinator. He could call plays, but as far as a head coach, no. So we had him. Then, of course, what we wound up doing, we bring Gettleman in, and what does Gettleman do? He brings in Pat Shurmur. Well, Pat Shurmur was 9-23 in 2 seasons with the Cleveland Browns. Okay, yeah, bring him back in again. Let's see what he can do. 9-23, that's not too bad, right? So what does Pat Shurmur do in his 2 seasons with the Giants? He goes 9-23. Now he's a good offensive coordinator. No doubt about that. He's not a very good head coach. Now, if we, kind of thought, he was 9-23 as a head coach with the Browns, maybe he's not such a good head coach, but, that was one of Gettleman's blunders. So then what do we do after that? All right, then we bring in Joe Judge, once again, with no head coaching experience either. And what's he do in 2 seasons? He goes 10-23. So, as I said, is it the GMs, and possibly Gettleman, bringing in, Shurmur, bringing in Judge, I said, Jerry Reese. So after a period of time, his drafts just were not that good, and we weren't restocking, our lineup with good quality players and all. Was it something like that? Now we had a bad GM. Gettleman and Jerry Reese, toward the end there, he was just not drafting very, very well. So now we didn't want to build with a lot of talent. Now, there was Shane and Dable the answer. Well, I guess we're going to wind up seeing. Now then we have to talk about the injuries. Injuries are, they've gone, you realize they've gone, the New York Giants have gone 55 straight games without their top running back, tight end, and their top 3 wide receivers in for an entire game. 55 frickin' games they gone. They can't even come out of training camp, preseason. They can't come out of preseason, where sometimes like you don't like Saquon does. Sometimes he doesn't even play. I mean, the guys go. They might. I mean, we're playing 3 preseason games now. We can't come out of preseason. I mean, as I said, some of these guys, they might only play a few series or something. They get injured in camp and all. It's 55 games that they've gone without their top running back, tight end, and wide receivers to be on the field for a full game. Okay? Now, the last time they had those top 5 guys on the field for an entire game was November 18, 2018, when they played against the Bucks. That was the last time all 5 of those players played the whole game on the field. And we wound up scoring 38 points. We won 38-35. Imagine that. You got your good players on the field. Of course, we had Eli Manning, too. But, just goes to show you, you got good players, you score some points. And we scored 38 points that game. Now, since then, the Giants have had their top 5 players available for a total of 2 quarters out of 224, out of the last 224 quarters, including overtime. There's only been 2 quarters where all 5 of the guys, top running back, tight end, 3 wide receivers, top 3 wide receivers, are all available. Only 2 quarters. The one quarter was against the Bears. Obviously, it was in September 20th, 2020. The first quarter, they had all 5 guys available. Then Saquon got hurt, and he's out for the season. Right. Then the other time with one quarter was the week 3 of this season when we played against the Falcons. We had all of the guys on the field at the same time, healthy, for 1 quarter. So out of the last 224 quarters, the Giants have only had 2 quarters where they've had all the top 5 guys. Absolutely freaking amazing. I mean, so you got the coaching, you got bad drafting, you got the injuries, right? Now, then the Giants' record, of course, during all this time with all his injuries is 16-38. Absolutely unbelievable. Now, the Titans this year, okay, they said it, so this is where it's kind of injuries, but it can also be a little coaching. It could be like quality depth with the draft. And because the Titans this year set an NFL record with 88 players on the roster to play because of injuries. All right, and they were still the number 1 seed in the AFC. So I mean, is it coaching, right? I mean, is it drafting? Because you draft quality players, you got quality depth there, which Gettleman maybe is not doing, Jerry Reese was not doing. As I said, was it good quality coaching? Is it the trainers? Is it the training? Another thing is, a couple months ago, I did a video that from 2009 to now, the Giants by far lead the NFL in games missed by their players. So you can, you kind of look at it like, well, maybe it's their turf and all the, the training, the turf, and whatever it might be. But they're the worst. The 2 best, almost by far, the best was the Atlanta Falcons. And the second best was the Minnesota Vikings. Now, what do they all have in common? They all play on turf. So you can't maybe necessarily say it's the turf, because they're both playing dome stadiums on turf. And I don't know what their training facility is, but I'm imagining it might be turf as well too. The Giants play on turf. So you can't just say, well, you can't say those guys were on grass and the Giants are on turf, so it's probably a turf thing. Well, not really. I mean, because those guys aren't having problems. Why are you guys having problems? So, I mean, I don't know if it's, I don't know if it's, the coaching, it's the training, maybe it's the turf, maybe it's all the above, maybe it had bad GMs, maybe bad picks, maybe bad drafts. Who knows? Maybe horrible drafts where you don't have quality depth, because if you have nice quality depth in there, you get some guys getting banged up, you got quality depth, they take their place, next man up. Or if you got quality depth, next man up, they can maybe produce for you, and maybe you can win some games. But, I don't know what the answer could be. I mean, it could be multitude of different things. But one thing I do know is that, you keep having problems, right? The best thing to do is just clear house, bring in guys, fresh guys from good winning organizations, which the Giants are doing right now. Get them set up, right, and let them do what they do best, and hopefully that's win football games. Well, as always, guys, thank you so much for taking time any day to check out this video. You guys stay safe out there and go Giants. Woo!